I think he brings a veteran presence. He shows that you have longevity and you can sustain the ability to throw really, really hard with good stuff, but also get better. I mean, his split finger last year was absolutely annihilating when he really was aggressive out in front with it. So I'm excited to see him come in and be able to step in for Bednar, give Holderman a blow. But you think about those four guys, Majinski, Chapman, Holderman, and Bednar at the end, and you have one of the best strikeout guys and Big Bank filling in that sixth role. But the biggest thing for me, it's the depth it creates. Every time you sign a major league free agent, it pushes a really good player down back into AAA or into a role where they can maybe develop or grow a little bit more. But that means if somebody gets hurt, which is inevitable, or if they need to replace somebody, they have somebody with experience and somebody with stuff. I mean, that's the thing last year watching that bullpen. There was so much stuff. Even the dudes that did not maybe have the best numbers, their stuff was off the charts. I mean, you're seeing 98, 99, you're seeing electric breaking stuff. Yeah, they put themselves in some tough situations, but that's the things that can be developed over time, and that failure turns into growth for me in the big league. So I'm really excited about how good that bullpen's going to be.
So talk to me a little bit about that. So something I point out, and I think what you're kind of seeing here, and it might be premature to label it, right? Because there's, like you said, there's a lot of guys that have stuff, maybe haven't fully put it together. And I'll kind of put Holderman in that too. Holderman's filthy, but I don't think he's put it together to say like he is like a legit setup guy in MLB, like you're comfortable with. And I say that to the sense of like, when you go back to like the mid 2000s, when you go back to the bullpens of the Pirates that they used to have, which you were part of, right? Like, again, you want to talk about a nasty bullpen. Like if it's the sixth inning, it's over. It's done, you know? And I think like this has the potential of that bullpen. Like Holderman has the potential to be part of that unit and be one of those dudes, right? Last year he showed reasons, but I don't think it was put together the whole way to feel truly confident like he is that guy. But again, like with the Chapman signing, you have Bednar. Now Chapman, like everyone slides down a little bit. I kind of do look at this bullpen now and say like this really has the potential of becoming one of those units in like the mid 2000s. Again, the bullpens you're a part of with the Pirates. Do you see that right now?
I think
are they there yet?
I think it could be better. I think they're already better, to be honest. I mean, you have a two-time All-Star Bednar, really figured out who he is. And by signing a guy like Chapman, it's bringing in a guy that's done it all. He's pitched in every game, possible. He's pitched in just about every role possible. He's even started. And not only does he bring the big game experience, he brings kind of that ice in the veins experience. And he's been in this division more than any other division. So he comes in with a lot on the table to share with the Latin guys and the American guys. He speaks pretty good English. And I think the longevity of it is so important to talk about. This dude has been, almost invincible, knock on wood, throughout his career. And he continues to show how, dominant he can be at times. So bringing him in allows Holderman and Majinski and these guys to take a deep breath because they don't have to step up in that whole role all the time, or the eighth inning role. He can fill in, he can close some, he can do some things that was asked of maybe Holderman in his first year, gets that experience to close a game, to do different things, but you can also set up it absolutely perfect. So say you have a bunch of nasty right-handers coming up, you want Holderman in the game, but now you have a left matchup. Here comes Chapman, right? But now you have some guys that are low ball hitters and, really good with high velocity. You bring in Majinski, throwing at the top of the zone with the nasty color at the top of the zone. So you have a lot of options, but they're different options. And I think that gives you a Swiss Army knife of sorts down in the bullpen. But once again, it's the stuff that's so impressive. I mean, you look even down into the guys who were getting called up from AAA and the stuff that they had and the numbers they were putting up in AAA. It's swing and miss stuff. And when you have swing and miss stuff, you get out of your own jams. Really good things end up happening in the long run because you're not relying on a ground ball to the shortstop to end that inning. You have guys that can go in and get the swing and miss and just walk to the dugout.
And I'm with you right there. Like, that's the other thing that really gets me. And the fact, I mean, we know it's Chapman, right? But the fact, like, he is a lefty as well. That takes a lot off Baraki. That's what I talked about. Like, the one thing about this is Baraki had a really good year.
Great year.
Like, I had to eat my words. A really good year. Now, what I stated was,
think about Hernandez. Think about what it does for him.
And we'll get there too. But I don't know if I go in the batter's box and I fear Baraki, right? Baraki was good, put up good numbers. But I don't know if I'm standing there saying I fear this guy. I do with Chapman, you know? So like, I think it helps out. Like Barucky's not relied on to be the only, Hernandez we'll talk to, but like he was the lefty. Now he can be used a little bit differently as well. And like, I feel like you talk about the matchups here, the fact that you're bringing in basically another closer who is a lefty, it just creates a lot of matchup nightmares, I think. And there's a lot of mix and match like you talk about. You can do with this. Like I like it as a baseball move. I think this makes this bullpen much stronger. And that's what I'm going to go back to. And I'm not sure if I'm there yet. And I think it's because there's still some unprovens, right? There's some filth, but we haven't truly put it together to stamp it yet. But like, I'm ready to I'm leaning towards like, this is like a 2012, 13, 14, 15 type of bullpen that's coming. And that's what I kind of like about this too, because it feels to me as if, and maybe we get your viewpoint on this also, you hear the Pirates are on this pitcher, Pirates on this pitcher. They really haven't got too many starting pitchers, not ones that really make an impact, right? Was this their way of potentially pivoting? Was it more or less like, hey, we're not, this offseason is going exactly the way we wanted to. So what if we just go not so much all in, but like put some chips on the table and made a strength, this complete strength? Is that what the Chapman like signing also represented? Or was this something they were kind of looking into all along also?
I'm sure they had a list of guys, and as you know, I think especially when Josh Hader came off the board, it opened up the door to like, all right, who's available and can we get him at this cost? Because those guys that were maybe looking at Hader kind of fall down, so they probably felt super aggressive that they needed to go after Chapman if that's the guy they wanted that they thought would fit into that role, and obviously that's exactly who they were. They got the best, in my opinion, other than Hader, they get the best left-hander on the market, and they can throw him into a time where we're not sure how many guys are going to be legitimate starters. So you got to think we're going to have a lot more opener type games, and with the depth we're creating, you're able to bring up guys, and Barucky's able to start early on. Hernandez could be in that sixth inning, and then you have a Chapman later in the game with a division that has some really good lefties. So I think it's a bold move. I think it shows that they're probably willing to spend some more money, maybe on a starter up to, 10, 11 million bucks in a given year. And who I think's out there that would be absolutely outstanding. There's also some other guys that I think would be good for our team and guys that could eat innings, because I think that's more of the importance moving forward going into this year. Because if you could keep all those young arms, you think about the guys that made the top 100, where there's 3 or 4 of them that were pitchers, top 100 prospects, they're pitchers with the Pirates. They're all going to be in AA, AAA, ready to make that move to the big leagues and be impact starters. So if you can keep those guys kind of, I guess, comfortable and growing and developing, but not overexposing them in the big leagues like we've had to do the last couple of years, you're going to bring them up and they're going to be ready. And that's the goal. That's the ultimate goal, is bring them up when they're running forward. And then you think about JT's coming back, and he'll probably be back full force in May. And then you have Mike Burrows coming back, who'll probably be full force, maybe even earlier than May. So you have a lot of good arms coming through ready to go. So if you can maybe manage their workload well, you're looking in June, July at maybe flipping the script, but you still have those guys that are willing to eat innings, or you could flip them and get something else that you need. But having a really strong bullpen has proven to work in Pittsburgh time and time again. And I think looking back to last year, how many guys we had to use, I think they're going to do the same thing. I think it's going to be a revolving door in Indianapolis of guys coming in and out, filling up innings, 2 here, 3 here, 2 here, 3 here, and they'll go back down. That's what Tampa Bay did when I was with them in 2017, and they kind of started some trend that's never stopped in the opener and the bullpen day, because you can really manage guys' innings, and maybe they're former starters, maybe they're guys like JT. He throws 2 innings, and then 3 days later, he throws 2 innings. So you can really get innings out of guys and maybe maximize their potential, not have to see them go that third time through by doing that. So you have an advantage in a lot of different ways. So I think they're being very strategic. They're being different. I still think they're going to go out and either trade or sign, hopefully both starters, and create even more of a competition and depth going into spring training, because I think it's so important.